Good morning, members of Parliament, support staff, radio listeners, TV viewers, and members of the media. Welcome to this Central Committee meeting number 28 of today, Friday, May 13th, 2022. I would like to give a special welcome to the Prime Minister and Minister of General Affairs of Ms. Silvera Jacobs and her support staff, and also the representatives here of the General Audit Chamber. We have established a quorum of 9 members. Please let's stand for a moment of silence. I've received notice of absence from MP William Marlin, MP Melissa Gums, and MP Rayon Peterson. Is there any member of Parliament that wish to have the floor for notifications? MP Sarah Westcott Williams, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam Chair Lady, and a good morning to you, a good morning to my colleagues, and a good morning to the Prime Minister and her entourage here this morning. A good morning to all tuned into this meeting. Madam Chair Lady, it's sort of a point of order, but I would like to raise it now with your indulgence. And that is a request/proposal that to this agenda for this Central Committee meeting, the point be added, which is the amendment to the General Police Ordinance, which, as you know, Madam Chair Lady, the Parliament unanimously agreed to amend the General Police Ordinance of St. Martin to establish a ban on the usage and offering of plastic bags, styrofoam, and plastic straws. Madam Chair Lady, at the time of the passing of this law, we had embarked on a rather ambitious timeline for the implementation and had put in the law that the ban, so the change, the amendment to the General Police Law would go into effect on the 1st of July 2021. However, with everything that happened pertaining to that piece of legislation, on request of the government, the date needed to be changed because obviously the date of implementation was not attainable. And Madam Chair Lady, we found ourselves in a peculiar situation with that law because it was a law already passed by Parliament, and now the date of the implementation needed to be changed. We had in first instance also proposed that the government would actually come with a decision pertaining to the implementation date, and all of that needed to be redone in order to now have a usable date for the amendment to the General Police Ordinance banning, amongst other things, plastic bags. Madam Chair Lady, all of that to ask if that change, which I as initiative taker for the law made now, so the change now to the amended law where the date of implementation is concerned, I want to ask your indulgence and that of my colleague MPs to put that on this agenda here, because like every national ordinance, draft national ordinance, it has to go through a Central Committee meeting before we can handle it and hopefully approve it in a public meeting. So my request is that this be added to the agenda if there is no objection to do it. That change where the date is concerned and the date of implementation. Thank you, Madam Chair Lady.
Thank you, MP Westcott Williams. I see to the members of Parliament, is there anyone that have any objections to the proposal by MP Westcott Williams? No, I see MP, no objections, but you would like to have the floor for notification? Okay, so no member of Parliament object to this proposal. We're fine with adding agenda point 2 to this meeting. Okay, so agenda point 4 is going to be agenda point 4 to this Central Committee meeting number 28. I see that MP Panderflat would like to have the floor for notifications. You have the floor.
Yes, good morning, Madam Chair. Good morning to my colleagues in Parliament. Also, of course, Honorable Prime Minister and her support staff. And I believe other members of other organizations. Madam Chair, I just couldn't let this opportunity pass by without extending congratulations to Mr. Casey Carty, who has been elevated, if I want to use that term, to the senior West Indies team as most of us might know, he was also part of the under-19 West Indies youth team, where he was able to lead them to victory. So I believe being the first St. Martiner to attain that feat, I believe it is a noteworthy issue to be mentioned. I wish him much success and, most importantly, strength and, God forbid, any injuries, because sometimes our talented athletes, because of injuries, are not able to accomplish their goals. So again, on behalf of our National Alliance, and of course my family, I extend that to his family on this feat. On another note also, Madam Chair, I want to also extend congratulations to the nurses for Nurses Week. I believe they are the ones who definitely, even during COVID-19, when we could stay home under lockdown, they had to go out there and do their job, which definitely was not easy, even putting their families in danger. So they should not be awarded only now, but I believe every day we should keep in mind that what they're doing is something that we definitely need. And I do pray that we'll continue to recognize them for who they are and what they're doing. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, MP Vandervliet. Is there any other member of parliament that wish to have the floor for notifications? I see no need. Then we thank you for the 2 notifications, and then we go over then to the agenda points for this meeting. The first agenda point is the invitation to the President of Parliament and the Secretary General of Parliament to the installation ceremony of Mr. Maester M.J. the Kort as President of the Joint Court of Instance on the 25th of May, 2022 in Curaçao. This can be found on the IS 867, Parliamentary Year 2021-2022, dated May 9th, 2022. The second agenda point is a proposal regarding the installation and composition of the committees of the Latin American Parliament, which is Parlatino. However, this agenda point will be adjourned until further notice. The third agenda point is the National Ordinance amending the National Ordinance registration and finances of political parties in connections with the foundation, the substitution of the General Audit Chamber with the Foundation Government Accounts Bureau in checking the accuracy of the financial data of the political parties. This can also be found under Parliamentary Year 2021 to 2022, number 156, and also under IS 575, Parliamentary Year 2021-2022, dated February 18, 2022. And the fourth agenda point, which we just recently added, is the amendment to the General Police Ordinance to ban the use of plastic bags, plastic straws, and styrofoams. Got it. So we now go over to agenda point 1. The agenda point 1 is the invitation to the President of Parliament and the Secretary General of Parliament to the installation ceremony of Mr. Maester M.J. the Kort as President of the Joint Courts of Justice on the 25th of May, 2022 in Curaçao. Again, this can be found on the IS 867. And on May 9th, 2022, Parliament received an invitation from the Joint Court of Justice for the President of Parliament, Mrs. Heiliger Martin, and the Griffier, the Secretary General of Parliament, Mr. Richardson, to attend the installation ceremony of Mr. Maester the Kort as President of the Joint Court of Justice of Aruba, Curaçao, St. Martin, and of Bonaire, St. Eustatius, and Saba on May 25, 2022 in Curaçao. All members have received a copy of this document via email, and the proposal is for the President of Parliament and the Secretary General to honor the invitation and attend the installation ceremony. The proposal is therefore for Parliament to approve this work visit for the President of Parliament and the Secretary General of Parliament to attend the installation ceremony on behalf of Parliament. The proposal is furthermore to approve the travel arrangements for the President of Parliament and the Secretary General. Is there any member of Parliament who wishes to have the floor? If there are no comments, then the proposal is approved. As mentioned before, agenda point 2 is adjourned, and then we will then quickly move over to agenda point 3. On February, which is amending the, this is the National Ordinance amending the National Ordinance registration for and finances of political parties in connection with the foundation, the substitution of the General Audit Chamber with the Foundation Government Accounts Bureau in checking the accuracy of the financial data of political parties. On February 18, 2022, Parliament received a draft national ordinance amending the National Ordinance Registration and Finances of Political Parties in connection with the foundation and the substitution of the General Audit Chamber with the Foundation Government Accounts Bureau in checking the accuracy of the financial data of the political parties from the governor. This document is registered as incoming document IS 575, dated February 18, 2022, and can be found on the P drive. I would like to first give the floor to the Prime Minister and Minister of General Affairs, Ms. Silvera Jacobs, for her opening remarks and presentation. And Prime Minister, you have the floor.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair Lady. Good morning to you. Good morning to the Secretaries General, the members of Parliament here present. I feel like I haven't been here for a little bit, and I know we've come off of quite some holidays, as well as the IPCO meetings, which I trust were noteworthy and valuable for the members of Parliament, and it is always good to be back in the House. I would like to introduce my support staff. To my right, of course, the Secretary General of General Affairs, Mr. Hensley Plantain, and representing the Department of Legal Affairs, we have Legal Affairs and Legislation. We have the Section Head of Legislation, Mrs. Miriam Dakeman, and Legislative Lawyer, Richeline Amer, to my right. And to my left, of course, I have my advisor, legal advisor in the Cabinet, Jessica Weeks, and further to her left, much further, as we must keep the separation, is Mr. Keith DeYoung, Secretary General of the General Audit Chamber. Thank you for joining me and being here to support as we handle the amendment as has been already read by the Honorable Chair Lady. So today we will be discussing the amendment. Before I start, I want to also add my congratulations to the nurses who just culminated their week of activities and celebrations yesterday with the celebration of Nurses Week, Nurses Day, and the end of Nurses Week on the birthday of Florence Nightingale. Indeed, they are the backbone of our community in the healthcare sector, and we are totally indebted to them. Without them, there is no healthcare. So according to their theme, we must, of course, continue to invest in them, in healthcare in general, and ensuring that they are also well taken care of as key stakeholders in providing healthcare, the first when we are born and the last before we close our eyes, to give that necessary care and support, as well as to our families. Thank you for all you do, and continued blessings throughout the year, remaining safe, remaining secure, and also remembering those nurses also who we lost tragically to the pandemic. I also would like to take the time to congratulate Casey Carty, the Cricket Association, Cricket St. Martin, all who have supported Casey along his journey, and especially his parents, but most noteworthy, his dad, Keith Carty, who actually lit that flame in Casey, helped him, pushed him, trained him as far as he could, and allowed him then to pursue that dream and moving onwards and upwards through the ranks as he continues to make St. Martin extremely proud. Congratulations, Casey. May you continue to shine like the bright star you are, and make yourself, your family, and the entire St. Martin community proud. Yesterday also, Madam Chair, with your indulgence, I was able to give the keynote address at the Rotary Conference, District 7020. It is a great opportunity to have such a large contingent of Caribbean peoples, or from, I think it's more than Caribbean. 7020 is also the southern part of the United States and the northern part of the South America. So quite a big group, but mostly made up of the islands in the Caribbean. And it was my honor to be there to share a word of welcome, to inspire them to continue to give back to the community and to encourage volunteering, and knowing that each of us has a purpose in life, and there is so much gratitude and growth to be gained from being part of service. With that being said, I will now go into the handling of the piece of legislation that we've come here for, and the amendment of the National Ordinance on the Registration and finances of political parties. We have also a slide, Madam Chair, which will be shown on the first slide. We see that it proposes to amend the legislation and remove the legal discrepancies between the Constitution and this law. The National Ordinance on the Registration and Finance of Political Parties, NFP, regulates the financial administration of political parties. These amendments, it is essential that political parties function transparently. Based on the current legislation, financial reports from the parties are sent to the Electoral Council, accompanied by a statement from an accountant who reviews the report in question. The Electoral Council sends the financial report to the General Audit Chamber to check the accuracy of the financial data. The Audit Chamber is required to check 1. The financial position of the political party, the overview of all income and expenditures, the gifts over 5,000 guilders originating from other than private individuals, and the total donations other than contributions from members of the political party. The Audit Chamber is also required to present its findings in the form of an advice to the Electoral Council based on the current law. In view of its duties and authorities in accordance with Article 74 of the Constitution, the Audit Chamber is charged with investigating the efficiency and lawfulness of the country's revenue and expenditure. The Audit Chamber's constitutional authorization is therefore limited to public funds. Auditing financial reports of political parties does not concern public funds. From a constitutional point of view, therefore, it is appropriate to place the Audit Chamber in the NFP to replace the Audit Chamber as described in the National Ordinance for Financing of Political Parties with the SOAB. In doing so, the legal discrepancies are then removed. Why, would you say, should we choose the SOAB for this? The SOAB is the appropriate entity because they are the government's auditors and are allowed to audit non-public funds of entities related to government. A comparison with the legislation in Curaçao shows that the SOAB is assigned that task with that specific task there. Curaçao's legislative body also agrees that this is not a task of their audit chamber, their court of audit. Furthermore, in consultation with the SOAB, they have also agreed with this draft. Next slide. Articles 29, 38, and 39 now assign the Audit Chamber to carry out the audit. In amending this law, the word SOAB will replace the words General Audit Chamber, in Dutch, Algemene Rekenkamer. Simultaneously, it is necessary to amend the National Ordinance of the SOAB. Article 3 lists their task. We note that Article 3 of the current National Ordinance omits paragraph F. The article goes from paragraph E to G. The reason why paragraph F was omitted is unknown. The amendment proposes to add a paragraph F providing the legal basis for SOAB to carry out the audit as stipulated in the NFP. This provision is the same as in the legislation in Curaçao. The final amendment adds a paragraph to Article 3. The amendment allows SOAB to make additional remarks in the interest of St. Martin. This paragraph is also the same as the legislation in Curaçao. Go to the next slide. Consultations were held with the Audit Chamber, the Electoral Council, the Central Voting Bureau, and the SOAB. All parties unanimously agree that checking the accuracy of political parties' financial reports does not involve public funds. As political parties in St. Martin do not receive government subsidies for their operational and/or electoral activities. As a result, all stakeholders agree that the tasks in the NFP do not fit within the Audit Chamber's operational mandate, constitutional mandate. The stakeholders also unanimously agree on the proposal to replace the Audit Chamber with the SOAB. The next slide. The implementation of this draft has financial consequences. Currently, the Audit Chamber allocates 2 FTEs to audit the financial reports and providing advice to the Electoral Council. With the proposed amendments, the time invested in the advice will be allocated for other projects and audits. Government could consult with SOAB to include this task in SOAB's annual audit framework. There are no new additional financial implications for political parties with the implementation of this amendment. On our final slide, we mentioned that with the proposed amendments, the discussed legal discrepancy between the Constitution and the NFP, the National Ordinance on the financial, I want to make sure I'm saying it correct, the National Ordinance on the registration and financing of political parties will be resolved. With that being said, Madam Chair, these are the minor amendments needed to bring about this change, and those are the opening remarks that we have at this time.
Thank you, Prime Minister Jacobs, for your presentation and opening remarks. Is there any member of Parliament that wish to have the floor for questions on the presentation? Seemingly it's all clear. No? I guess it was clear, Madam Prime Minister. With that then, I will then, sorry? Oh, I would close this agenda point and adjourn this meeting in order to allow you to leave and allow, yes, exactly what you said, I'm saying, to allow MP Westcott Williams to swap with you. So thank you again for your support staff. Thank you, Audit Chamber Representative, Mr. De Young for being here. And I see you want to have a closing remark, Prime Minister.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. Though you didn't mention it, this is a Central Committee meeting. Of course, we'll have to return for the public meeting. It is a very simple transaction that we would expect based on this proposal. So hopefully the report can be finalized as soon as possible, and that meeting planned in our schedules so that this can be done as soon as possible. Thank you, Madam Chair, and a blessed weekend to all further.
Thank you, Madam Prime Minister. Meeting adjourned for 5 minutes. Welcome back, members of parliament. We just adjourned agenda point 3, where we concluded that with the report of the amendment would be then sent to government on that draft national ordinance for further handling. And now we are moving over to agenda point 4. And in agenda point 4, I would like to state that one of the most basic rights of members of parliament is the right of initiative. And according to Article 85 of the Constitution, a member of parliament has the right to submit a draft initiative national ordinance to parliament for handling and approval. On December 1st, 2021, Parliament received a draft initiative national ordinance amending the draft national amending the General Police Ordinance. This can be found this was parliamentary year 2021 to 2022 under number 153. As prescribed by Article 69, paragraph 3 and 85, paragraph 3 of the Constitution, the draft was sent to the Council of Advice for advice on January 4th, 2022. And on March 11, 2022, Parliament received the advice from the Council of Advice. The next step in that process was a reaction to that advice. And on April 20th, 2022, Member of Parliament, MP Sarah Westcott Williams, submitted the reaction to that advice. With her reaction, the initiator submitted an amended version of the initiative based on the initiative based on the advice of the Council of Advice. The title was also adjourned and now reads Initiative. The title was also adjusted and now reads Initiative National Ordinance Establishing the Entry into Force of the National Ordinance in Connection with the Ban on Plastic Bags, etc. The following step in this process is the Central Committee meeting of Parliament. Please take note that this is a draft initiative national ordinance initiated by MP Sarah Westcott Williams in accordance with the Articles 85 of the Constitution. So hence, all questions posed by members of Parliament during this meeting will be addressed and answered by her. So at this time, I would like to give the floor to MP Sarah Westcott Williams for opening remarks and presentation. MP Westcott Williams, you have the floor.
Madam Chair Lady, thank you so much for that introduction, and thank you for honoring my request to add this amendment to the agenda of today's CC. Madam Chair, Lady, members of Parliament, as I indicated during the notifications of this meeting, on the 3rd of November 2020, the Parliament of St. Martin unanimously approved a draft initiative ordinance changing the General Police Ordinance, AB 2013 GT number 42. In order to establish a ban on the use and offering of plastic bags, plastic straws, and styrofoam containers. According to that draft law, which was passed by Parliament, this amendment, so this change to the General Police Ordinance, would have gone into effect on the 1st of July 2021. Parliament at the time, so in November 2020 when the law was passed, assumed that the government was granted sufficient time to prepare itself and the community on this change to the General Police Ordinance, which, as I mentioned, sought to make the first step in dealing with the harmful effects of plastic for our environment, as well as the other plastic matters, such as the straws, and then we also added into that ban styrofoam containers. However, Madam Chair Lady, by letter of the 30th of September of 2021, the government of St. Martin informed us that they were not able to effect the ban as per the national ordinance, and that was, as I mentioned, the 1st of July 2021, and asked for Parliament to change the date of implementation of this amendment to the General Police Ordinance. Madam Chair Lady, we found ourselves with this law in somewhat of a peculiar situation, namely a law passed by Parliament, but not yet ratified by government because government did not want to ratify a law that had a date in it that had already passed, and government did not start the implementation. So understanding those arguments of the government, I then decided to change the date of implementation. However, even doing that brought along some technicalities which you can read in the draft before us now. So now we had to prepare a new separate amendment that would firstly decide that the government by national decree can decide on the date, on the effective date of the law, one, and that will go into effect once government ratifies the draft law itself affecting the ban, and you have the ordinance. So government has to do two things now with this change before us. One, the date can now be established by national decree of government, and government will ratify the draft law banning plastic bags, etc. And this law before us will make those two things happen possible once passed by Parliament. So, Madam Chair Lady, that's actually what we're doing with this draft law. So, in order for the government to ratify what is before it, we needed to draft another amendment to the law, one, and in it we are establishing for the date of going into effect that the government can establish that by national decree because, of course, it is the government who is responsible for its implementation, and we thought it necessary to give them the time that they can, along with the different stakeholders in the community, can not only decide on the date of implementation, but add it to the other projects which are ongoing with respect to limiting the use of plastic and make it all a big project. Again, looking at the harmful effects of all of this for our environment, and that we can really have a sustainable and substantive program ongoing as far as plastic in our environment is concerned. Madam Chair Lady, that's what we have before us. I ask my members of Parliament if there are any questions for elucidation, but it's pretty straightforward what you have in front of you. And following this deliberation, if we can pass it as soon as possible so that then government can pick up its part and do what needs to be done. Thank you, Madam Chair Lady.
Thank you, MP Westcott Williams. Is there any member of Parliament that have questions? I see that MP Pontefract would like to have the floor.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair. No question, really, Madam Chair. I believe that our colleague MP Westcott Williams was quite clear, and not to rehash the issue again, the importance of having this law passed and giving the government, as was stated, the authority to establish national decrees. We know that probably it causes with regards to our environment, regards to our waterways and so on, the fisheries. So I believe that the sooner we get this matter solved, the better for all of us, especially in St. Manuel's, a small island where everywhere you go almost, you see plastic bags flying in the brochure, even on the seashore. So again, this definitely has my full support, Madam Chair, and definitely looking forward to have this ratified as soon as possible. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, MP Pontefract. Next, we have MP Gums, and I have you next.
Oh, wow.
MP Duncan.
Thank you, Madam
MP
Chair.
Duncan, you have
Good
the
morning
floor.
to you. Good morning to my colleagues here in Parliament. Good morning to the people of St. Martin. And of course, just once again, congratulations, MP Westcott Williams. My only question was, through you, Madam Chair, to MP Westcott Williams, was there any information given or any update given by government on the general implementation trajectory? So is it just that this date needs to change and then we're good to go, or was any information shared? That's what I would like to know. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Yes. Thank you, MP Duncan. I see MP Bijlani would like to also have the floor.
Thank you, Chair Lady. Good morning to you. Good morning to the referee. Good morning to my colleagues, and good morning to the presenter. Just to what MP Duncan was mentioning, I would like to know if there's a phase-out period, even though the plastic bags, which is really the most used here, In value-wise, they are penny, but trashing it out, whether by using or by the people who have them in bulk order, because they don't buy the bags in hundreds, they buy in thousands and 100,000s just to keep it afloat. But to trash out those also, because the value-wise it's nothing, but to even trash it out, I think a phase should be given properly, a trajectory like how MP Duncan was saying. That time period should be there so that it's easily outdated in the system. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you, MP Bijlani. I see that MP De Weaver would like to also have the floor.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair Lady. Good morning to you, Griffier, and my colleagues and MP Westcott Williams across us today. Thank you again, MP Westcott Williams, for keeping this at the forefront and making sure that this is something that we get done as soon as possible. And as I listened to the colleagues beforehand, one of the things I wanted to just mention briefly is that the community has been warned, has been updated for years that this is coming. So while I appreciate MP Bijlani's preparation period for it, I experienced in my position as Minister of TEAT that the business community, they were the ones actually asking, how long do we have, where I've already updated my group of contacts of stakeholders that they have 2 years. So this was done about a year and a half ago. And so in saying that, I at this point can only say that I believe that our island needs to ban plastic bags and also needs to come up with a date of when we stop ordering plastic bags. So not so much of giving them a heads up of 2-year period, it'll be absolutely banned, but even say as of January 1st, 2023, you are no longer allowed to even order them or import them into our country. Because even if they import them, they're still here in circulation up to the date that we ban them. In addition to that, I wanted to also thank you, MP Westcott Williams, for this, because while we are on this topic, I would like to just bring in an additional thought for us to keep in mind. Several weeks back, I had an opportunity to do a bird watching with a women's group that I'm part of. And in addition to seeing the plastic, seeing the styrofoam in our waterways, I don't think if anyone has had the chance to go to the bird watching hut in Cahill, there by Bel Air, I think once you do it, you will see the impact that we have on our community and on our environment in our country. And if we expect people to continue visiting our island, we need to learn to love it and protect it. And one of the things that shocked me when I went to do bird watching for the first time is that you saw birds, our national bird, the pelican, dead on the side because of botulism. And what I was told is that recently a survey was done, an inspection was done, and there were 27 illegal sewage septic running into the gutter on Welgelegen Road, into that same pond where we have a bird watching hut that we not only hope to have our community enjoy, but also our visitors. So at the same time, I wanted to put that out there because it was something that I was going to bring to Parliament, and I know that it fits hand in hand with plastic bag, because if our national bird is dying, then I think that our impact is not so much far away from what we're doing to our own. So thank you very much, MP Westcott Williams. Thank you, Madam Chair Lady.
Thank you, MP De Weaver. I see that MP De Weaver is the final person on the speakers list, and I'd like to then turn the floor over to MP Westcott Williams for the response.
Thank you, Madam Chair Lady, and thanks to my colleagues who have responded and asked some questions. Madam Chair Lady, I need to tell myself to not go further with this discussion at this time because of what we're dealing with. And I say this to say that here in the comments, I am so tempted to go into more than just this change of law, because as the last speaker said, and the speakers before her, so the last speaker, MP De Weaver, and the others who spoke, this matter is long overdue. And those who have been here even before this term, know the process that the Parliament of St. Martin went through in order to bring us where we are. Bringing in persons from Aruba, for example, to share their experiences, and from where we got the clear signal that we needed to start somewhere. Many persons have asked us, but why only this? And as it is only this, look at what it required in terms of time. And so we decided, Madam Chair Lady, to start here. So I am very grateful for the comments that have been made, and will be responding to the questions as follows. As you know, and I have been periodically kept updated from government, and this is in response to MP Duncan's question regarding their project that is ongoing, which is a EU project that sort of focuses on the educational part of it and the campaign for schools and community. Coincidentally, the Prime Minister, who was here earlier, when learning of this being on the agenda, said to me following the meeting that she would be informing us and seeking to kind of bring it together with what Parliament passed on the entire project. So to answer MP Duncan's question. So I look forward to that happening, because this is one part, and this is actually, the idea is, as I stated from the beginning of this initiative, is not looking to collect money to say, well, let's have something that we can find persons and collect some money, but rather the awareness and the sensitization of persons for this extremely important matter. So MP, through you, Madam Chair Lady, to MP Duncan, so that is what the Prime Minister just mentioned, and I think that's a good thing going forward. One of the reasons, now coming again to MP Bijlani's question, one of the reasons why the date of implementation was an issue, and as you would recall, we brought in several ministers into Parliament on this topic to also get their buy-in into making it happen, and not just have a law here to say we too have a law. And so that's why now we have it again, giving the government the opportunity to establish the date of implementation by national decree. But that does not mean, and I'm encouraged by what I'm hearing, that does not mean that Parliament is now going to sit back and say, well, the decree can come when it comes. But rather, we want to know what is happening, and we would be keeping the finger on the pulse, so to speak. And the government would have to take into consideration that, whether it's a phasing out or whatever have you. And the reason I refer to Aruba is because we have learned from them, and they too had to do the phasing out and were confronted with, and that's why when you spoke, MP Bijlani, and you said thousands, and I said millions, because I'm understanding that these things are bought in bulk, cost little per piece, but they're like really in the millions. And at some point, we got to say this is where we stop. And indeed, then you have the issue, what do you do with them? Because then even those you need to dispose of responsibly, what are here already. So I expect that kind of a program to be taken place. Madam Chair Lady, to MP De Weaver, and that's why I said I hope for this instance to stick to the agenda point before us, because not only have I been to the bird watching, I have been at that location in terms of assisting with different cleanups that have taken place. And the garbage that was collected there and the plastic. But when I looked into the little inlet itself, I was amazed. There is no way that no group of volunteers is going to get that place clean up. We need bulldoze, whatever it takes. I would say to my colleagues who might not have had the opportunity to do it, not only go by the bird watching and that part there, by the bird watching hut, but just try to look into the grown-up part, which is in the pond. It is unbelievable. It is unbelievable. And I'm glad to have the opportunity to say that. And the other day, again, there was a cleanup taking place there. And I thought about it, and then I said to myself, you know, for this particular cleanup, I wouldn't go, because I was getting kind of discouraged by figuring out that with the cleanup, we take up hundreds of tons of garbage, and you're just touching the surface, especially in that location. So I wanted to add this, and that's why I started out saying what I said. But I also feel that, and now, Madam Chair Lady, we have been talking, and that is the female members of Parliament about a women's caucus. Now, why am I saying this here? And I want my other colleagues, our other colleagues, to know this, but I'm saying this here because, Madam Chair Lady, at a conference rather called a dialogue, a Caribbean African dialogue organized by the Global Parliamentary Alliance, the GPA, that I was fortunate to attend just this week, days past, on Barbados. And we had representatives there of the Caribbean, of course, of different African countries. And Madam Chair Lady, I heard about this issue of women's caucuses in Parliament, and I was happy to inform the gathering that St. Martin, with its 15 members of Parliament, of which 6 are female, are also in the process of getting our caucus going. So I was very happy that we did start it and that I was able to make that announcement there. So I'm saying all of this to say thank you to the speakers, all of you, those who asked questions and made comments, and that I look forward to putting this on our agenda so that we can offer all our colleagues some ideas and proposals for solutions. Thank you, Madam Chair Lady.
Thank you, MP Westcott Williams. If there's no additional questions, then we can. If there's no additional questions on this draft initiative, yeah, I do see one. MP Ramu, you have the floor.
Pleasant good morning to you, Madam Chair Lady, and of course to my colleagues here present, to the viewing and listening public at large as well. I just wanted to also congratulate MP Westcott Williams on her initiative. And also, I was listening, I wasn't going to say anything, but when she talked about the cleanup, I recall participating in the cleanup, the International Coastal Cleanup. And I'm not quite sure if that is the one that MP Westcott is talking about, but I too was quite amazed at the garbage that was, as she indicated, in the inlets of that bay. And for me, I stood there thinking, how did it get there? Because indeed, as volunteers doing the cleanup, we could not reach that area, but it's quite amazing. And I just wanted to state that we have to start really loving our island more. And again, I keep saying this starts from training the little ones. It starts from the cradle, because garbage disposal is something that we still see. You're driving sometimes in cars and you still see people throwing garbage outside of their windows, etc. So indeed, whatever you're thinking about, MP Westcott, know that we're all going to support you, because I believe we all love St. Martin, and keeping our island clean is a very fundamental part of keeping St. Martin beautiful and us remaining the friendly island. So indeed, you have my support as well. And for the listening and viewing public people, this is our island, and it starts with us. And that's all I have to say. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, MP Ramu. If there's no other member of Parliament that wishes to have the floor for questions, then I would like to then state that a report will be prepared and sent to MP Sarah Westcott Williams. And upon receipt to her reaction to this report, a public meeting will then be handled, and a vote on this draft initiative national ordinance will be scheduled. I would like to thank MP Sarah Westcott Williams for providing the necessary information, and also congratulate her with her initiative. And ladies and gentlemen, oh yes, okay, I got you. Ladies and gentlemen, I love to always say it's Friday. It's been a short week, but it's Friday, and I do wish everyone a safe and pleasant weekend. I then hereby adjourn this meeting until further notice for us to finalize agenda point 2. So meeting adjourned, and happy Friday.